Hey gang, and welcome back. These videos are brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your unused collection fast and easily. 401 Games, Canada's top shop for all your hobby and TCG needs. Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. Moxfield, the easiest way to store and share your deck lists. And Foil Armor, flatten your foils fast. Corwin wins the die roll and starts us off. He plays a tapped commercial district, surveilling 1. Jazz also has a tap land with a Xander's Lounge. Charles just plays an island. Fred also likes the tap lands with a Rogren Triome and ships it back to Corwin. Corwin's got an untapped Dragonskull Summit and pays 2 for Sylvan Library. Jazz just plays a Cavern of Souls and names Demon. Charles plays a Bountiful Promenade and pays a blue and a green for Kira's Follower. Fred plays Plaza of Heroes, and is then able to cast Satoru. Corwin's draw step has him using the library trigger, and he takes the full 8 to keep all the cards like he should. He then plays a Reflecting Pool as his land for turn, and taps out for Kraven the Hunter. Jazz has his own Dragonskull Summit for turn, and pays 2 for Talisman of Indulgence. Charles's land drop is Mokokoro, and he then plays a blue and a green for Growth Spiral. This has him drawing a card, and he gets to put into play a Reliquary Tower. Fred's turn has him playing Minas Tirith as his land for turn, and he pays 2 for the Animus. Corwin once more has his Sylvan Library trigger as he draws, and once again takes the full 8. He plays a Shifting Woodland as his land for turn, and pays a green for Birds of Paradise. He then plays a Bloom Tender. Jazz plays a Swamp, and taps out for Kindred Discovery, naming demons as it comes in. He passes, and during the end step, Charles uses his Kira's Follower to untap a land, and then tap out to activate Mokokoro so the table will draw a card. Charles plays a tapped Hollowed Fountain for turn, and casts a Druid of Purification. He picks the Discovery, while Fred picks Sylvan Library, Corwin picks Fred's Animus, and Jazz picks the Animus as well. They all get destroyed, and Charles passes turn. Fred plays a Watery Grave, taking 2 so it comes in untapped, and has enough mana now to cast Aragorn the Uniter. He ships it after that. Corwin's playing an Undergrowth Stadium as his land drop, and he casts a Sylvan Caryatid. He then brings out Venom, Lethal Protector. Going to combat, since his commander has haste, he swings Venom at Jazz. On attack, he sacrifices Kraven, drawing 3 cards. He's then able to put to field a Mayhem Devil. Jazz then takes the hit, and Corwin passes, discarding down to 7. Jazz plays a land for turn, and then casts his commander with Be'lakor the Dark Master. As his commander enters, he draws a card and loses a life. He passes after that. Charles drops an Overgrown Farmland, and pays 1 for a Soul Ring. He then taps out to cast Hive Mind, and he ships it. Fred continues with the Shocklands, taking 2 for an untapped Blood Crypt, and then taps out enough for Jodah, not SpongeBob. He gets all the triggers from Aragorn, and bolts Charles with the red trigger, and pumps Satoru with the green trigger. He then moves to combat, swinging Satoru at Corwin. Corwin double blocks the Sylvan Caryatid and the Mayhem Devil, and Fred passes after combat resolves. Corwin's turn has him playing Phyrexian Tower, and then casting his own Soul Ring. He then casts a Weftstalker Ardent, and then an Avenger of Zendikar. With the Avenger coming in, he makes 6 plant tokens for 6 lands, and deals a total of 7 to his opponents because of the Weftstalker triggers. Corwin then heads to Punchies, swinging Venom at Charles. On attack, he sacrifices the Avenger of Zendikar, drawing 7 cards. He in turn puts out Sidisi Undead Vizier, and as she enters, deals 1 to his opponents and exploits the Weftstalker. This has Corwin then tutoring for a card, and Charles then takes the hit for 5. Corwin then taps his Bloom Tender in his second main phase, and uses the green floating mana for a Deathrite Shaman. He then uses the 2 floating for Infernal Grasp, targeting Jodah. Everyone gets a copy though, with Jazz picking Venom, Charles picking Aragorn, and Fred picking Sidisi. Fred's copy resolves first, and they each lose 2 life from the spell, with each creature getting removed and so forth and so on. Corwin then moves to his end step, discarding down to 7. Jazz has a land for turn and casts Talisman of Dominance. He then casts Reaper from the Abyss, and with it entering, Be'lakor has the Reaper deal its power worth of damage to Satoru. Moving to combat, Chaz then swings Be'lakor at Charles, who takes the hit. Charles draws her turn, and then draws a card for the whole table as he activates Mokokoro. He then taps his follower to untap Mokokoro, and taps it again to draw the table a second card. He then follows up by playing Rites of Flourishing, because he is friendly and neighborly, much like Peter Parker. Charles then swings the Druid at Fred, who just chumps, and we move to Fred's turn. Fred draws his 2 and plays his 2 lands for turn. He casts Éowyn, Fearless Knight, and as she enters, she exiles Jazz's Reaper of the Abyss. Fred then casts a Fabro Elder, and he moves to combat. He swings Éowyn at Jazz as she has haste, and she connects, and Fred passes. Corwin draws his 2 and plays Volrath's Stronghold, and then plays a tapped Fernal Fen. He then casts Korvold, sacrificing the Birds of Paradise as it enters, and draws a card. Corwin then exiles a land with the Deathrite Shaman from his graveyard for mana, and uses it to help cast Descent into Avernus. He then uses the rest of his mana to help cast Snuff Out, and the table gets a copy. Corwin picks Éowyn, Jazz picks Éowyn as well, Charles picks Fabro, and Fred picks the Druid of Purification. Those creatures then eat the removal, and Corwin then casts Diamond Weapon for the reduced cost, and passes. Jazz draws his 2 and plays his lands. He casts a Plague Drone, and then a Relic of Sauron. At this point he remembers his Be'lakor trigger, and he deals 3 to the Curious follower thanks to the Plague Drone. He ships it after that. Charles counts up his lands, and then casts Healing Technique, demonstrating it, and picking Jazz to get the copy. The spell also triggers Hive Mind, giving his opponents each a copy as well, and Charles gets 2 copies total. This is unnecessarily complicated, so thanks for that, Charles. And Jazz only has 1 card to return, getting back his Kindred Discovery, and gains 5 life. But the rest of the table will actually lose the life from the cards they get back because of the Plague Drone being out. They then return their cards, and lose their life, and Charles then recasts the Druid of Purification again. He picks Diamond Weapon, Fred picks the Descent, Corwin picks the Relic of Sauron, and Jazz picks the Descent again. Before resolving the ability though, Jazz activates the Relic of Sauron to float some mana. The artifacts and enchantments are then destroyed, and Charles passes. Fred draws his 2, and plays his 2 lands. He then casts the Animus, Hajar, and Ivor Ravenclan Champion, aka Najeela. Fred then passes, exiling Aragorn to the Animus trigger. Corwin's turn has his 2 lands coming in, and he recasts his birds. He then warps out Anti-Causal Vestige, and then swings Korvold at Fred. On attack, Korvold sacrifices one of his plant tokens, adding a +1/+1 counter to Korvold, and drawing Corwin a card. And before leaving combat, Corwin then activates Volrath's Stronghold to put the Avenger of Zendikar on top of his library. He then passes, and this has him exiling the Vestige to the Warp trigger, drawing a card, and then gets to put the Avenger of Zendikar he just drew into play and makes a bunch of plant tokens. Jazz casts his on-themed Liliana's Contract in his main phase, drawing 4 and losing 4. He then casts Thran Dynamo, and then recasts Kindred Discovery, renaming demons. Going to combat, Be'lakor goes at Charles, and on attack, Jazz draws. Charles then takes the hit, and Jazz passes. Charles plays a Plains for turn, and taps out for Clone Legion. This is once again copied by the Hive Mind, so everyone gets a copy. Charles picks Jazz, Fred picks Jazz, Corwin picks Jazz, and Jazz picks Jazz. Jazz's copy resolves first, and with his copies coming in, both Be'lakor see the Plague Drum coming in, and the original Be'lakor sees the new one coming in. He has to resolve the legendary rule though, getting rid of the real one, but keeps the copy, and he deals the Be'lakor 6 damage to Charles to take him out. And then uses the Plague Drone triggers to take out the real Plague Drone and a copy so Fred and Corwin won't get their copies. He also draws 3 and loses 3 as well. Corwin then gets his copy of Be'lakor, losing 1 and drawing a card. Fred then does the same, drawing a card and losing 1. With Charles effectively gone, we then move to Fred's turn. Fred draws and plays his land for turn, and then casts a Chroma's Will. But Jazz is quick to counter it with a Pact of Negation. Fred then moves to combat and swings his team at Jazz. He makes 1 warrior token from attacking, and before leaving the attacker's phase, activates Najeela to untap his creatures, giving them lifelink, trample, and haste, plus another combat step. Moving to blocks, Jazz blocks Be'lakor with his Be'lakor, and before moving to damage, Fred sacrifices Hajar to save Be'lakor and pump his team. Jazz then takes 5 from the unblocked creatures, and Fred gains 10. In his second combat step, Fred goes all out at Jazz again, taking him out, and making another warrior token as he swings. He also gains an additional 10 life, and with nothing else, Fred passes. Corwin plays a land for turn, pumping his massive army of plant tokens with a +1/+1 counter. He then goes for the Hail Mary by casting Chaos Warp on his own land, and shuffles the land into his library. After shuffling, he offers Fred the cut, and he reveals his top card, an Urborg, which comes into play and pumps his plants further. Staring down some massive plant tokens, Fred knows when he's done, and scoops it up. Game review time. I love Jund decks. Doesn't matter if it's Korvold, Hearthhull, Venom, Prosh, or whoever. If it's Jund, I love it. That being said, probably the strongest card this game was the Avenger of Zendikar just because of how many plants it gave Corwin. This Precon All-Star is a lot of fun, and it really reminds me of back when I started playing EDH. Tooth and nail entwined for a Purphoros and Avenger of Zendikar was often game-ending, and yes, it still can be, but it definitely feels like the game has escalated to a point where that's even considered too slow. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.